Hey up, everyone. Back for another Man in the Van. What's this? Episode 13. I haven't told the man I'm just about to speak to, Josh Spinks, yet that this is episode 13. I hope he's not superstitious or anything. Anyway, I'm out on my travels this time. So Man in the Van. I'm in a camper van this time. I'm currently sat at Appledore. Lovely place, North Devon. But enough about my hollybobs. Let's get the very man on the screen right here and now. Here he is. There he is, sat home, Josh Spinks. Now, Josh, first and foremost, tell me what you've been doing today, because you've been doing a bit of like, I wouldn't say health and safety, but we tried to get this done last night, but you couldn't do it. But today, you've been doing a first aid course, is that right?
Yeah, just renewing the first aid course, because I do a lot of coaching now, obviously with the younger generation, which I've been doing for a few years. So yeah, just got the first aid course done today. It's actually stretched out over about 6 hours. It wasn't all that exciting, but you just got to have it. You never know when you're going to need it. So got that done, passed it, away we go.
I'm laughing because I've done one. And did you have to do the whole thing with you got the prosthetic doll where you got to do the whole mouth to mouth thing, haven't you? Did you still have to do that?
No. It's actually interesting now because of the COVID situation. It's a bit more health and safety. You have to put like a little protective film over it. You can't work with the other people in the class like you probably would usually. Obviously, you run past choking and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit different as it was the last time I did it. But yeah, like you say, just jumping up and down on the chest and doing all these things that are really important. So that was.
Did you get picked to do it, or do you all have to do it? Because I think when I did it, not everybody had to do it, but I was like first hand in the air because I thought, I thought that'd be pretty cool. Because I don't,
Yeah, no, it's just we all did it at the same time. Basically, it was in quite a big room. There's only 5 of us, so we had the distance around the room, and we all just got involved together, sort of thing. The actual teacher was a road bike rider as well, so that always helps when you can have a little bit of a chat about different things.
Yeah.
Stuff you're interested in. So he was quite chilled out and fun guy, so it wasn't as boring as perhaps it could have been. If that makes sense.
Well, like you said, you've got to do it, because you're doing the coaching thing. We'll get onto that in a minute. So, Josh, remind me. I should know this, but I'm not a nerdy commentator that writes down notes on everybody. In fact, I don't write notes at all, ever. I never get prepared to do any of these. But that's part of it. I always want to try and these conversations like we just met in a pub and just getting to know each other, etc. So how old are you now?
I'm 27, actually 28 in a couple of weeks' time.
Right. So 27 years of age. That's yeah. Oh yeah.
Anderson, I think I've got 10 years left or so, but
you've got plenty of time left. Yeah, you're still just a little bambino, really. Yeah. So obviously you're doing the training and coaching. Now, is this something that, because some people just don't really think too far ahead. I know it's an income arguably for you to keep your racing going or whatever, but coaching for a lot of people that are pursuing let's be honest, you are pursuing a British Championship and an MX National. You love to win races, love to win a title. You're not just out there to make up the numbers. So you've consciously thought of getting into coaching now rather than just say like, oh, I'll do that when my career's over. What's the reasoning for that? Was it initially to just generate more money, or is it just something that you kind of fell into?
I'd say I more fell into it, actually. I've had to work all the way from leaving school. Whether it's just part-time bar work. My dad had a sports bar in the village where I grew up, so I worked there, and I went on to beauty clothing. So I've always had to work. I've always been pushed by my parents to do that, sort of earn my means. And they've always been part-time jobs, so I've got the time to practice and race and all these things. So I think it was in 2016 I started coaching, and that was simply come to me. I had no intentions of doing it. Someone on a little auto rider that I was getting quite friendly with, his dad in the paddock, and he said, "Oh, will you come this Wednesday? I'll cover your practice fee and just give him a few tips, this, that, and the other." And I took to it well. Our relationship was good. He was happy with the tips I was given. And then he'd recommend a friend and say, "Oh, can he join next week?" And it kind of just snowballed, really. There wasn't much need for advertising. It's kind of built. And even now, I don't really advertise, but I'm really busy with it. Really busy.
So where are you, without giving away your exact home address, of course, where you're based, you're in a good catchment area as well, I would imagine. You're somewhere in the sort of Midlands, aren't you?
Yeah, Leicestershire. So yeah, bang in the middle. So yeah, basically when people ask me, have you got tracks locally, we probably have to travel towards an hour, maybe an hour and a half, but there's probably 10 to 15 tracks. So we're right in the cusp of it all, which is good. We've got plenty of options. Obviously, track casting, Doncaster. That's about half, and then we've got VIP, some places a little bit further down. So, yeah, it's a great place for it, and for the tourism as well.
So, obviously you got, now let's talk about racing, because for me, I heard your name, I sort of don't, but for me, you just kind of, I heard your name up to it, but not enough about you. Then I can't remember what year it was. This is why I should really do research for things like this. There was sort of 1 year you just sort of really burst onto the scene. I'd heard your name, I'd seen it in results up to that point, but never really seen you at any sort of what I would call nationals or big races, really. And then you sort of arrived on the scene and pretty impressively from the get-go. So what year did you sort of was that you started doing, for example, like the British and MX Nationals, like proper, with a serious effort at it?
Yeah, so probably seriously was when Verdi first picked me up, Verdi Sports KTM, which was 2015. And that gave me a lot of confidence that year. One, because it gave me a good bike. And for the first time, I had a set-up bike that I had some confidence with. So, and I started pulling whole shots. The bike was fast. It was a 450 KTM. And I think the first round of the year, it might have been an MX National, but I can't remember where it was. The track will come back to me in a moment.
Sure.
Pulling.
Yes, I think Sherwood was one where I seem to remember you.
That was only a couple of years ago, I think that was, or maybe even last year. But yeah, 2015, I got a good opportunity. The ride was paid for. Didn't have to stress too much. I had my little job on the side. I had a good bike, and I started leading some races and setting some good lap times. I think it was at Blacksall Pits, actually, where I pulled a whole shot there. Before qualifying, I was on the outside and pulled a whole shot. And for the first 2 laps, I just went as fast as I've ever been on a bike. And I matched the same pace on lap times as Simpson and Proton. And on the same second, everyone else, Watley, Anderson, you name it, the field was stacked that year with 2 seconds of lap slower on time. But I obviously dropped the anchor out, finished 6th, I think it was in the end. But 15 for me, I think it just gave me some confidence that I probably haven't got the fitness, I haven't got the racecraft quite yet, or the knowledge how to race these guys, but I can go as fast as them. And I think from then I've proved that each year, here and there. Maybe not consistently, but I've managed to prove that.
So when did you first get the bug for it? How did it all come about? Even how did you get into this sport?
I suppose quite a standard way. Like my dad, used to race sort of AMC. That was a big thing. Obviously, a good few years ago, most people raced under that organisation, and then he went to Endura, like a British level Endura. So he knew how to ride a bike. And I think I was 3 years old on a PW50, just sat me on it, and away we went, sort of thing. My uncle used to ride as well. My granddad's always been into sort of road bikes, so just that sort of family where it was always going to happen. One of those things.
Just what? And then, so when did you actually start racing? Was your parents, was your dad and your parents one of the type that would go, understood that the longevity of it and didn't get you, was you starting racing quite young, or did you just bomb about in fields and wasteland or whatever until you really got into it?
I think as soon as I was 6 years old, I don't know if the age is still the same for the minimum age to race, but yeah, I was 6 years old, so I think it was just straight in. Not to have a big story, but I remember bawling my eyes out. I got to the race and I sat in the back of the van, and the guys that run the event, CGMA, had to give me a trophy before a spanner wheel to get me out there. It was a bit of a bribe. I just remember that that first race, once I got that out of the way, it was game on. Then it was just I got the book for it. I actually won my first race because there was only 2 autos in it, and one of them was my friend from school, Jack Jones's name.
That's awesome. So you won your first race, but you already had a trophy before you went out anyway. So whatever.
Good
I was
day.
laughing through that because I relate to that 100%. Not first couple of races, but similar kind of thing. There was a national at Lawn Abbey, and I'd never seen a hill like it. It was like 1981, and I hid in the boot of the car, and nobody could find me for about 2 hours.
I went far because I was in the back of the van.
I hid behind the cool box. I hid behind the cool box in the boot of the car, and it wasn't until my brother went to get a sandwich, saw my feet sticking out, and that was it. So I know what it's like to be petrified when you start, but obviously it gets you, done it once you get going.
Yeah.
And here you are, 27, still at it.
Yeah. And sometimes you can be so nervous before a race, but when the gate drops, it's just, or even when the 15-second ball goes up or the flag waves or whatever, you haven't got time to be worried anymore, have you? You just kind of just settle into it and what you got to do. It's a good feeling.
Is that what you do now? I guess that was what I was going to ask you. Obviously, how do you cope now with nerves at races? Do you still get them, or you got it in check now, age 27?
I class it as nerves. I know a lot of people struggle to eat on race days, or feel sick or stuff like that. I've never had that, but you run through your mind obviously how you want the race to go. You try and envision that. Some things might creep that you don't want to, that cause a bit of nerves and panic and worry and all the rest of it. But generally, I think I'm quite relaxed and chill. If it matters to you, if it means something, I think you should get nervous, personally.
Yeah.
If you're missing that, then you're just there for a crack, really.
You sound very similar. We've got a lot in common. I was the same. Pretty chilled out. But like you said about the eating thing, it didn't stop me. Didn't stop.
If anything, I think I've got to get some fuel.
Oh yeah, totally. And when the racing ends, look out. I'm ready. I'm ready to chase a horse and eat it. Yeah, full on. So obviously, so you came through youth ranks. So were you? This is the thing. I started seeing your name obviously as you're getting more towards when you burst into the adult scene. Maybe because I just didn't follow youth racing and stuff coming through as much. So how was your youth career? Was it, did you have a relative amount of success, or was you just sort of always on the cusp of being there? Like, who was the names that you used to race your year? I'm trying to think who else would be in your year racing.
So I was always really close to Sam Davis, like back and forth with race wins. I used to win. I've won 2 BSMA national championships, one in 2005, one in 2007. We used to do the BY, which is obviously the British Championship. One year, I think it was 2007, me and Sam was back and forth. We probably had an equal amount of race wins. I had a bike problem. He probably had a bike problem, but he got the championship in the end. But there was nothing between us. So, yeah, I've got a couple of national level championships to my name. The first one came on a small wheel, 2005, and then the second one came in 2007. Last year on the 85 big wheel. Before then, I went straight pretty much to a 250. Yeah. But I used to race Elder Fields. It was obviously mixed with it. Chris is just gone, so that was cool to get with him and catch up because we all know how talented he was. I beat him a couple of times, but it took him to either have a really bad race, a bike problem, or a crash because he was that good sort of thing. But yeah, they were the sort of big names. There used to be brothers called the Worrells as well, Richie and Stevie Worrell.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Remember them.
And even like Josh Waterman, he's a little bit older than me. Luke Hawkins. We had looking back, we had a really strong group of riders. Hutchinson's, there was 2 of them.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Now, this people watching this can see probably by my facial expression. See, this is now it. It's all coming back to me now, and I'm genuinely starting to feel quite old because I'm going to ask this question. I don't know if you raced it, but I'm going to ask it. So, did you, when it sort of first started, did you do the very, very early Red Bull Pro National round still in youth or not?
No, I think that was a little bit after. The only Red Bull I've done is 2013 and 2015, I think it was. So I was on a 450 then, but I can't remember doing the youth stuff.
Because the reason I say that, because when I was at Motor Magazine, we did a feature on, I think it was before Red Bull sponsored it. They did like a season before that, and there was a big race at Matcham's, and we focused on like the youth racing, and it was the first time that we'd ever put like a youth riders on the cover. Like people didn't used to do that then. And I seem to think that you might have been there with racing with Sam that day, but I might be getting you confused. I think.
Do you remember
what was the name? Ask me this. Sorry. What was the name of? Oh, it was Jack Rowe. Was he younger than you?
Yeah, Jack was 1 year younger than me, but I definitely raced him on an 85. And that's the BYMX. Do you remember the KWS series?
Right. See, so I knew I've heard your name somewhere. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So the KWS series, I was racing that on, like you say, 65 with Sam Davis and riders like that.
What year would that be when you was on a 65?
Maybe like 02, 03. I think. Right.
Yeah.
See. 04 that I raced that.
Did you ever ride a KWS at Donington Park? They had one at Donington Park.
Yeah.
Can you remember that? No.
Yeah,
that was 2003. Dobby rode in it. Not long, obviously. Like it, he was, still after not long after his success of being world title.
They used to have Dobby, Swordy, even Pit Byron, Crockard, like a turn up, wasn't it?
So as you can see, it is genuinely all coming back to me now. I can't remember you at all as a rider, as a kid, but I would have ridden at least one or two of those rounds, and you would have been there. So I would have been in the pros, and you would have been a 65 rider.
Yeah, definitely.
Shit, I feel old.
Me too. Right, how young I was then. God. I think it hits us both, really, thinking right back there.
So, right, I'd say, just from personal experience, like 27, you're in and around the realms now of age as a motocross rider, I think, of where you kind of where things kind of, you got a little bit of everything going on. So you're still, like, obviously, hopefully, if injuries haven't really got the better of you, you're still in good physical condition, as in regards of fitness, and all that kind of stuff. But you're not wet behind the ears either. You've got, by this point, a bit of experience and all that, and starting to learn a bit more, not just what the sport's about, but what you're about, because sometimes genuinely when you're in your early 20s, you're enthusiastic, you got all these plans and visions and stuff like that, but you get some knockbacks and they're hard to take because you've never really had them. So now you've had them, and because you are on the comeback, literally, like, we didn't see hardly any of you last year, really, did we? Because of, well, explain that, because you've been off of, or was it the tail end of last year that you missed? I can't remember.
I only managed, I think it was 3 races last year.
I knew we didn't see much.
Yeah, one was Hawkston International. Then it was an MX Nationals at Sherwood, which might be the one you were thinking of. I finished second behind Kulak there. That was on the 4th. Yeah, and then I just thought, I've never done a GP before, so we entered MX1 at Matley Basin. And, I mean, free practice, I was about 30th, maybe, something like that. Then time practice, I was a little bit better, 27th or something like that. Then we went out for the qualifying race, and I got a reasonable start. I was 15th, 16th, which held the position. I think I dropped a couple, but I was almost quite comfortable in 18th place. And then just off the front, I don't know if I was pushing a bit hard or whatever, but the front went, put my leg down, and it broke my ankle. Not too complicated, but one of them that put me out for nearly 3 months or something, 2-3 months. And then so I didn't rush back to the races. I just got back into practicing, just building myself up. And there's a little track near me where I just went for a couple of hours, and there's a very small triple. It's almost like a BMX jump. If I had a run up on a BMX, I'd have a go. And I come up short, but I think split-second decision, I took the weight off the bad one, recovering one, put it on my other side, and managed to fracture that one. So it's just silly thing. And yeah, after that, I thought, I'm not rushing back. I'd probably make it for the last 2 rounds, but there's a big story to it. Right? It's better for me to not race and just get things ready for this year, basically.
Well, that's a smart move. That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you're a bit older, and you've been through probably a couple of moments or more where you have rushed back, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, so it makes you just think about it a bit more. Now you've said that again, you see my memory's worse than I thought. But I obviously saw your post when you got and you had like exercise the demons because you went back. I remember seeing your Instagram post. I'm sure it was an Instagram post where you're like, I busted out the triple today, and you've that little one that you've just spoke about, but the little things how it gets in your head, and you was a little bit nervy going back, and yet you know it's a tiny little triple, and yet it's still got in your head a little bit until you've busted it out. It's mad, isn't it?
It took me at least 10 minutes of the first session, and it's a tiny little jump. Think about it, it's like a second lap thing, but I don't know, I just didn't hit it. But then I finished the session, the warm session, and I just went to the back to the van, and I thought, no, like if I don't hit it now, it's just going to bother me all day. So I just went straight back on the track. I did it, went back to the van, and then that was it. Then sweet, no problem.
So, regardless of you know what you've been riding and where you're at now, I mean, you seem very accomplished now and comfortable on a 450. You know, if you had a choice, if anybody, let's just say, if somebody, I don't know, if you had a choice of riding anything you wanted, would it be a 450 over a 250?
You know, I dropped down onto the 250 in 2017 and 2018. But that's when I could do the few rounds of the EMX, which again, experience there. And I really, really enjoyed riding the 250 because it brought a little bit more aggression. And I found the races were funner because everyone had a little bit more energy. There's a lot more intensity, especially riding with the young lads like Jet Lawrence and all these sort of people. But now I think I've had that period because I actually went up to a 450 at a young age. I was only 17. So I feel like I lost a little bit of that 250. I've had the 2 years, achieved some podiums, British Championship and the EMX, and I kind of just left it there then. And I think it's made me a better 450 rider because I think to get the most out of a 450, you have to get a combination of smooth riding style, which is easy for me. I've always had that, but then the aggression where you can get the power down, get it out, sort of thing. So I think it's given me a balance now to get more out of the 450 than before them 2 years on the 250, if that makes sense. So I'd stick on a 450. I'll stick on a 450.
Yeah, I mean, results are starting to prove it. And from the outside looking in, last couple of years, I mean, you're very unfortunate last year with the knee injuries. But it seems like you've kind of, you've got yourself in a position as well where you've got some good people behind you, like Paul Grimshaw. Like obviously you didn't really get a chance to do what you needed to do this year, but you've come back last year, but you've come back this year, and the results are looking pretty good. Obviously, notably last MX Nationals last time out at Cusses, a solid performance, because you're racing obviously Tommy, who's, we all know his background, Nichols. I mean, it's a stacked out class, and you're in there in the top 5, and arguably in a position where you could even better that. So you must be. Are you happy with how the comeback's going at this point? Are you kind of on schedule? Did you even have a plan in your head, or were you just go like see where it goes? Not too much expectation.
Yeah, I think how can I put this? Basically, I know because of what happened, I looked at the lineup and I thought, this is now the British Championship. Minus Sean Simpson, I don't want to miss anyone's name, but you mentioned Elliot Banks Brown. There's probably 2 or 3 riders that aren't there that would be in the British Championship. So you look at the sort of list of riders, and in my head I thought, like, coming back, just get inside that top 10. That's a good start, and build from there. So it's kind of gone to plan. I mean, I was a bit gutted at Hawkstone but I think I can see why I struggle, because I haven't raced for 18 months. And we all know what Hawthorne's like. You know, I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't ride how I can do. So I left there speed off, to be honest with you. I wasn't happy with that at all. I think it was like 12th overall or something. So although it was close to my goal, I thought I did not ride anywhere near where I could. So then Landrace, again, the first race, a little bit of struggle, but the second race, well, I think I just missed out on a fifth, was it, or fourth? I think I finished fifth. So I was thinking, right, well, that's improved pretty quickly. Happy with that. And then at Cusses, it went forward again. You know, I was battling. I had probably the pace of the third place in that race one, with a comfortable top 5. And then, yeah, the second race was pretty much the same. So basically, yeah, it's gone to plan. It's gone to plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, for me, talking about what we just said there, I think the Landrake performance was probably the one that not so much the last one, last time out at Cusses, like I said, but it was the Landrake one where it looked like something kind of clicked, like you're back up there, and you again, you didn't get the exact results you wanted, but for a large chunk of the race, the speed was there, and I remember, and I think it was the second motor in particular, we were calling it quite a lot on commentary, how well you were going and coming through, like looking back to that kind of speed that, like the event you just spoke about, when we was back at Sherwood and all that, it's like, okay, it looks like it's all starting to click back into place now. So yeah. So you've got to be pleased with that. So, I mean, do you do that? Are you a rider that genuinely, everybody wants to win? I know this is bizarre. It's a stupid question to ask, but I ask it anyway, because it's stupid, but not. Everybody wants to do the best they can and win. Otherwise, you're not a racer, aren't they? But are you one of those ones that genuinely look at each race coming up and where you're at and setting targets? Or is it all about, I'm just going to go there, I'm not going to put expectation, and just, do you thrive on delivering a performance over a result, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's all about, I judge my race on how I felt on the bike. So if I felt awesome, but I had a crash, first turn, and that's come back from the back, but I rode loosely, enjoyed the racing, didn't pump up with my arms, because that's something that controls my race a lot of the time, as it does with many riders. But yeah, I just get to the end and think, did I ride my best there, or was something holding me back? And that's how I base it. I'm not really chasing a result, if that makes sense. We all want to win. We want the best results possible. But for me, it's the feeling on the bike, and I have to enjoy myself when I'm riding. Otherwise, I just get a bit upset.
Yeah. I again, can totally relate to that. So what is, I mean, like I said, 27 is if you go on, not everybody's the same, people's careers finish and end earlier than others, but all that kind of stuff. But, you got Ando as an example, going on, still racing, into his, was he 40 now? Something like that, is he? I don't know. He must be close to it.
Knocking on 40, definitely.
Got Crowley, mid-30, although that's a lot of GPs and whatever. So really, keeping yourself in shape or whatever, you still got a good number of years, 6, 7 more, maybe more, to be a real front end rider. Is there a long-term goal with that, or is it literally you take 1 year at a time? I mean, because I suppose when you're coming through, you got to go, right, I'm going to have several years in the 250 class, and I'm going to do this and that. But now you're in the MX1 class in the UK. What I mean by that is, are you going to still stick and focus to the UK, or is there aspirations to go and maybe try and do some MXGP races, etc.?
I think it's a year-by-year thing, truthfully. Deals they're quite hard to come by. I've got a really good one at the moment with PGVM. We're getting on really well. We're enjoying ourselves at the races. There's a lot of fun involved. We're bouncing off each other. It's working. We're getting the result. It's working. So, he's happy to go next year, as it stands at the moment. So am I. If it changes for one of us, like throughout next year, and we have that chat, and it doesn't make sense to go again, then you just weigh your options up. It basically needs to make sense to me as a rider. I haven't got the money to pile into it myself. It's as simple as that. So the help, support needs to be there. But it's this whole enjoyment thing. In years gone past, I've probably lost that slightly. I maybe took it a bit too seriously myself. And sometimes you just question yourself why are you putting so much into it for, at times, not very much back. So it's a year by year thing. And I'd like to say this whole coaching and business that I'm running, I want to continue to grow that because I see a future for that. A future for that. So I'm getting this. It's a balance. It really is a balance at the moment. It's not a bad balance. I never complain about it. But I don't ride full time because I'm putting equal amounts of time into my business and doing something else that I enjoy as well.
That's it, though. I mean, that, like I said, switched on with that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you kind of got that to fall back on, and I know you're passionate about it because your name cropped up on the last live Dirty Talk show that we did in the week,
Right.
where we were discussing the transition of, British riders. Where are we going with it? Obviously, all very well racing in the UK, but are we good enough to develop riders to become world class? And then your name popped up on the screen on the comments. So first of all, thanks for tuning in. Secondly, for getting involved. Yeah. So let's just sort of briefly talk about that. So you then posted up a few other comments and opinions on it after the show, which I've seen have been reposted on some other websites and whatnot. So you're obviously passionate about trying to develop youth talent, not just coaching them as a whole, as a sport. You think that's very important?
I think it is a concern. We can all see, again, I don't want to call people out or go into it too much, but I can see a decline definitely over the last couple of years of start numbers, and even like down to tracks. That's what gets brought up quite a lot, is maybe the repeat tracks that we're using through different championships. And you can't help but notice that the tracks, we haven't got maybe the choice that we did, like with Matchams and Donington Park and what was the one, Mallow Park, and it's all going a bit, it's all going the wrong way slightly, and everyone's got their opinion about it. Some people say practice tracks are too expensive, and I try to just put out there what I thought, but I purposely said at the start I don't know figures. Like, this is basically just what I believe or see into it, and I could be wrong, and I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong. But I just put out there basically what I thought and asked the people what they thought, and it got a bit of a discussion going, and there's some quite interesting things that come out of it. I think that's very easy to do on social media now because everyone's got an opinion and a keyboard and a screen and stuff. But I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing getting people talking in general, and not that you can start a movement. I don't think it's a bad thing for the riders to get involved a little bit more. I wish that maybe the championships how to do it, like get riders together at the events and just have a bit of feedback. Let's have a sit down, Marky, and this is our plan for next year. What do the riders and teams think about it? And just back and forth it there. Like, why not? Some good things might come out of it. Questions might get answered.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So have you ever had a moment as a coach, I'm sure you probably would have done, where you're there teaching a young kid, or even if you're at a race and a young kid comes up, you ask for your autograph and all that, and have you had one of those, I won't say epiphany moment, but a moment when you've gone, God, I can remember being that kid, and then remembering the influence that when you looked up to some of your racing heroes and met them, the influence it had on you? Have you had that at any point, where you're like, I know what it's like to do that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I say, people, the kids are, I don't know, they're very, a lot of the kids I coach now are very confident. And I remember being quite sort of shy when I was younger. I wasn't very approaching to certain people, but there's definitely people that I work with seem to warm to me and sort of very confident around. But like I say, it does spark a little bit of that. I remember I went on a coaching day with Stefan Everett, of all people, when he finished his career and started out with KTM. And the dealers put forward a few riders to go and join the fair at Tony Motor. And because I've always been interested in him because of obviously how successful he was for one, but his unique riding style. And my dad was always saying, "Look how he does this." And I just remember the first time I was face to face with him, it was one of those moments, definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when that happens. So you're gonna have a load of that coming your way if you keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I'm looking forward to see where you go from here. Not just for the rest of the year. Fingers crossed. I'm not superstitious. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I've done it now. That we get across the line, obviously with the last MX Nationals round. Obviously, a shame that the Bridgestone Battlecross. Obviously, they couldn't run that, and that was a real disappointment. I was looking forward to that, and of course the AMCA Championship, whatever. So we're still in difficult times, clearly, but hopefully you'll be able to keep this little resurgence of momentum going, and but then you've got to keep it going through an off season because we don't even, because incredibly we're already near the end of a season. But on a whole, you got, like you said, it sounds like you got a good backer, and you're already sort of making plans for next year. So, and at least you're switched on with the, like wanting to do something outside of that to stay in the game and earn a bit of money and put back into the sport. So, sounds like everything's in a good place at the minute, it seems.
Yes, and I think that's so important for a rider, and each individual is different as well. So I rely on a bit of a plan. I'm one of these annoying people that likes to see where they're going, what's ahead of them. They can plan for it and all these things. So it's a good position. It's a very good position. I say Paul PGVM has been so good this year. I know we've only managed a few races through the circumstances, but he's really excited about the results because he's new to it all as well, and it's happened quite quickly. We're right in the thick end of it, and he's shown a lot of interest for next year and excited. And how can we improve things? What can we do? It's just everything you could ask for as a rider, really. There's no pressure. He understands my business. He knows that I'm not full time with this, and he's fine with that. He encourages it. So no one's dictating what I should and shouldn't do, and that's important for me, really, because I've had that before, and it doesn't go well because I just feel like I know how I work and what I need and all these things. And it's looking great. I'm excited going into next year already.
That's good. It's that's the kind of people you need supporting you, the ones that kind of let you, work out pretty quickly what's best for the rider and stuff like that. Well, like I said, it's not like you're 17, you're 27, so you've got some good experience behind you now, so that's pretty cool. So when's the next coaching session? Monday. What day are we on? It's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday today. God.
Yeah, so
I'm on holiday. What do I? I've lost all track of time.
I've got tomorrow afternoon with a couple of kids. There's that track with the jump that claimed my ankle last year. It's a bit more of like a mini bike kids track. So I've got a couple down there tomorrow afternoon. I've got a few at Fat Cats Wednesday. I don't know if I've got something Friday, but Saturday I've got a day booked in. I could coach Sunday, but I'm going to put that aside to meet up with Carl Anderson, the suspension guy at Fat Cats, hopefully, just to tidy some things up ready for the last race, hopefully the MX Nationals.
Cool. So in case what people watching this, when you come to watch this, obviously, as I just mentioned at the start of this, I'm out and about, officially on holiday. Actually, we're having a non-bike related holiday, but I had to get this done. That's why we're doing it. And I'm doing this all through the wonders of 4G through my phone. So, and I think you haven't got the best internet connection as well. So, apologies if it's been a bit of buffering and whatnot. But we got there before I go and get some fish and chips, or I might get some mussels. Anyway, enough what I'm having to dinner tonight. That's I just got to quickly bring it up. You coach obviously varying riders, but there's one rider in particular that's catching an eye at me, and she's a little pocket rocket. and tell us a little bit about that, getting behind that, who the rider is, and obviously the story with Travis Pastrana.
Yep, so that's definitely Olivia Reynolds that you're talking about. And I met her 2 years ago. So she was probably only 8 then, turned 8 years old on a little 50. And obviously booked in for a coaching day, never met him before. Dad walked over, shook hands, went over to a little Olivia. She was really shy at this time, obviously, didn't know who I was. Seen her go on track, and I thought, Jesus Christ, she's got some cojones, obviously not literally, but she was hanging off the bike, very scrappy, very scrappy, and to the point where you just were often like, oh, any minute now. She was going pretty quick, and I'm a big believer. If someone's almost overconfident, it's easier to dilute that slightly and knock some technique into them, rather than someone that's just not there to open the throttle, and you've got to really get behind them to get some confidence out. I believe that to a point. So I thought, yeah, this is impressive. I've never seen a girl hit jumps like that or be prepared to get so out of shape. So obviously we had a good day that first day, started getting some technique in, actually gripping the bike a little bit with the legs and stuff rather than hanging them up. And the dad, we got on great as with the family. Olivia warmed to me. She was stealing my hat through the day, just whipping it off my head. You know, she really come out of a shell, which a parent noticed, and they was like, that's really cool. She obviously gets on well with you. So from there, we just did quite a regular thing. I think it was a couple of weeks later, her dad said, "Oh, she's ready to race." You know, I don't know if she's ready to race yet. And I said, "She ain't going to be at the back. Like, get her in. Like, get her in a race." And I think her first race, she was inside the top 10 against all the lads. You know, she might have had a few crashes, bad results sprinkled in there with a few crashes, and it just snowballed. We kept going, got her confidence up, and within the space of a few months, she was winning race against all the lads. And then doing the master kids and sticking it. The last few races on the auto, you could argue on a day she was the fastest in the country. And that it just happened so quickly. She actually made the jump to 65. Again, surprised everyone with how she stuck to it. At your event that Wednesday, she proved that she could be out front. I don't think riders in the but she was the only one in the group hitting the big finish line jump. Out of everyone, she's just got bags of confidence. And now, obviously, my job is to just get her to calm down a little bit. Actually, she's moving off, riding the bike, look for lines, grip the bike. She's running with great technique, and it's just working out for her. But the funny thing is, she's not from my point, because I wouldn't dare do it, but she's willing to do left-handers, back behind her back, 3 times over a big tabletop, land with no hands, take legs off, because she loves Travis Pastrana. That's why she runs number 199. One of our coaching days right at the start, I gave her a massive poster that I had of Travis's, because I know that she likes that. And when I was in Redwood to watch the Nations, I met Travis, and I got my phone. Can you record a message for little Olivia? So she's always been a fan of Travis. And then what happened was at one of my coaching days a few weeks ago, she was doing these new handers. Again, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was out of nowhere. I said, "Let me get a couple of videos of you, Olivia," and I'll knock a little bit of a video together on my phone. Just got her talking at the start without a helmet on, hair and a ponytail, this, that, and the other. And she said, my favourite rider is Travis Pastrana. That's why I run 199. So I knocked this video together. Then the parents sent it to Nitro Circus because they said it would mean a lot if Travis gets to see this. Travis watched it. They uploaded it on their social media, Nitro Circus, which gained her a lot of exposure. And then on the comment section, I think Travis tagged Olivia Instagram page. He did it himself. He said, "Look, you're coming out to America, my rant, as soon as this COVID stuff blows over, and we'll basically teach you to flip, or just have a holiday out here and get some media and video." And so soon she's going to be, if she's not known already, she's soon going to blow up. She deserves everything that she gets. So it's cool. It's cool to be involved with that, and I didn't help towards the trick, but I like to think that helped towards a riding and style and this, that, and the other, and it's working.
Oh, absolutely! It's just a cool story, and Yeah, fair play. As you know, so I know you coach up loads of other riders and stuff as well, but that's got to be I would say a proud coach moment. That one I would have thought, even though, like you say, it's not motocross, but just the expo and all that. So she's certainly one that obviously a lot of people in the UK and hopefully across the world be keeping an eye on. So I'll be watching with interest to see how she comes along. Obviously, with you coaching her and whatnot. So that's a cool little byline. Yeah. So it's all seemingly good in the Josh Spinks world from where I'm sat.
Yep, chilled, relaxed, and enjoy myself. That's what it's all about. I've got plenty of variety. I love a bit of mountain biking, trials riding. People that follow me on social media might think that I do it in a different way, which I definitely do, but it's the way that I'm happy with and gives me the most enjoyment. So that's what I go with, really. Yeah. Love it.
That's what life's about, mate. That's what it's life about, which is why I am just going to enjoy myself for the rest of the week on holiday. And as I say, go and stuff my fat face here at Appledore. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I will catch up with you some more, hopefully, at Fat Cat for the final round. See you get on. And on behalf of everybody at Dirt Hub, I think just all the best for the remainder of the year, but then ultimately getting organised and sorted for next year. And hopefully next year sometime, Josh, we might actually be able to sit in a van and chat rather than have to do it with crap 4G network stuck in North Devon. That would be good.
Yeah. My internet connection's awful, but yeah, anything like this. I love talking motocross, so anything you've got lined, think of me.
Oh, I've got another gig that I want you to do further down the line, but I won't tell everybody what that is now. But yeah, awesome. We'll talk again soon enough, I'm sure, particularly on some of your ideas and thoughts of the sport going forward. So yeah, that'll be cool. Right, I'll let you go and chill out after blowing up inflatable. No, that sounds terrible. You know what I meant. If you've just joined the conversation now, go back to the start to understand what I meant with that. Right, I'll leave you to it. Catch up with you soon. Nice one, Josh.
Yeah, cheers, dude. See you later.
All right, all the best. Okay, so there's Josh. He's out of there. Thanks for joining us. That's me too. As you mentioned, I'm going to go and I'm on holiday. I had to do this. Just get this one out of the way. Don't know when I'm going to catch up with you next, or who that next man in the van interviewee is going to be. But we're going to be coming back soon as well in a couple of weeks' time. I think with another Dirty Talk live show. But more about that as we get nearer the time. Right, everybody, stay safe wherever you are in the world. Obviously, we're still up in the air with all the COVID thing or whatever. So just be smart and enjoy what you do. Get out riding when you can, but do it safe and, try to protect others as well. Right, I'm going to sign off right there.